Okay, so I'm sorry for that. The system suddenly said broadcast has been ended. So let's try that again, or let's continue here. So as I said, we were already in the market with Raspberry Pi based thin clients, and we actually were pretty well established and were doing pretty okay in the small medium business market, primarily with Citrix based thin clients. But what was missing was the enterprise market for us. We were not able to really enter that, as we in particular didn't have the right management software. Now, along came IGEL, and as I think we all agree, IGEL has one, if not the best management software around for thin clients and a great operating system. And IGEL was very interested, and you have, I think, seen that in a couple of presentations of them now. They're not so interested to be a hardware vendor anymore. They want to be primarily a software vendor. And they were looking for someone who could, in the end, lower the cost of their whole solution while maintaining the performance as much as possible. And Raspberry or an ARM solution really was the right way to go. So it became almost pretty natural that we, both of those our companies agreed about 9 months ago to port the software of IGEL to the Raspberry Pi. And that's really a result of it. So it brings us a possibility to enter more markets, IGEL the possibility to lower the solution cost and actually enter new markets as well. And I would show you that on the next fall, as there really are markets that both of our companies haven't really addressed yet, but can now with this device, in addition to normal thin client applications. So with this device, and we even picked up the color of IGEL here. With this device, the management software obviously is the standard UMS from IGEL. You don't need anything extra there. Initially, it has Citrix on it, as well as Citrix receiver on it, as well as a Chromium browser. Citrix Workspace Hub capabilities included that is dedicated or special for Raspberry Pi. That doesn't work on any other solutions, at least so far. It's a professional Pi-based client. It's not just a Pi in there. There's additional hardware in there to do the thermal control, as well as the standby and on-off features, which a normal Pi doesn't have. And obviously, it has all the certifications it needs to be sold all over the world, like CE, FCC, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, we have an established sales and maintenance channel. So what are the key properties? They are really the properties of the Pi. It's a 64-bit architecture based on a Cortex-A72, 2 GB memory. Some people say, well, are you okay with 2 GB memory? That sounds pretty low. Actually, no. ARM code is much more efficient than x86. So we are perfectly fine with 2 GB. Actually, we have room. If there ever should be a problem, especially if people start using these special partitions or dedicated partitions that IGEL offers extensively with many more software on it, we are coming up with a 4 GB version as well. But it's a bit more expensive, and we really felt we want to hit certain price points. That's why 2 GB is the standard. We have dual display output. I mentioned that already, with 4K resolution on both monitors, the usual USB ports 3.0 and 2.0. One thing that is not so common is that Wi-Fi is always included, obviously, in addition to Ethernet. And the Visa bracket is actually in the package. You don't need to buy an extra one for $20, $30. The device is very small and light. It's only about the size of a pack of cigarettes, if anyone remembers what cigarettes were. So what market segments are we focusing on? Well, there are a couple which are kind of standard, which we know we all did. Healthcare have done that for a long time, both of our companies, IGEL as well as us. We have been in banking as well, to some degree. Public administration, because they're always very budget conscious. So that's another big market for us, always has been. But there are a couple of new markets which we can address now. And one is manufacturing and IoT. And logistics and retail kind of goes along the same way. What you see if you look today at manufacturing floors of larger companies, you will find that there are a lot of PCs being used just to visualize certain flows to operators and have them give some feedback, or to control some smaller machinery. We are not talking about big CNC machines. They have their own software and their own interfaces. No, I'm talking about little machines or picking places or things like that. And a PC, first of all, is total overkill there. The industrialized versions of PCs are also very expensive. And there is no really nice way to manage them remotely. So a lot of these companies have already looked into Raspberry Pis for a while because they are perfectly suited for that. However, there never was a proper management solution for those. That has now changed with our two companies together on the RX420 IGEL. Because on the one hand, you have the right device based on a Pi. And with IGEL, you have the possibility of not only managing, but also having these customized partitions where you can have special software added to control your environment, for example. So there is a little bit of an emphasis here. We try to create some new markets with that, but let's not forget, first of all, it's also just a standard normal client for office work or anything, almost anything you want to do. As a matter of fact, there was a session by Frederick today of IGEL. I don't know if you have seen that. In the end, he shows how great the 3D and HR264 capabilities of the device are. There's really no difference to a very expensive other client. So as we do this in hardware, we can do these kind of things very, very nicely. So how is it sold logistically? Well, the device is being purchased through our channels, and it has the IGEL OS pre-installed. There is no license that comes from us here. The license actually comes from IGEL directly and is their standard license. So there's no difference. That license is hardware independent. But there is a 30 and a 90-day starter license included in the device. So if you are not a customer of IGEL yet, don't have the licenses, this way you can try the device either in a somewhat limited fashion with 30 days without registering. And if you register, you have a 90-day starter license that enables all the features of the device. We do joint sales calls. For those of you that are resellers, we are happy to help you position this device properly in the end customers. If you're an end customer, have questions, please contact us. We can also do joint sessions with you. All the pre and post sales software support is done by IGEL, and the hardware support is done by us. So why is that not switching? Just a moment. I like to just briefly touch on one other feature the device has. It's called Citrix Casting. That is unique. It's a feature by Citrix. It allows for roaming of sessions using your mobile phone as an identifier, essentially. So if you are, say, a doctor or a nurse in a hospital, you can go from station to station with your phone and your session follows you automatically. And screencasting, this is a possibility, say, in meeting rooms where you want to come in with your laptop and cast to a big screen, your screen, and you can do that using the Citrix app that is on your laptop and a RX420 being hooked up to your big screen in a very hardware independent and vendor independent fashion. So it's a pretty neat feature as well. It also allows you to build a station that doubles as a wireless docking station for your laptop. So loads and loads of additional functions in this device. We have also seen a lot of interest over the last few months because of Corona and more people working from home or having to work flexible in the office without having a dedicated workspace anymore for kind of all-in-ones. But all-in-ones always have the disadvantage that they are from one vendor and really rely on the same vendor for the screen, for the client, etc. And they are pretty expensive. Here you can have, as a reseller, build a very inexpensive and very powerful thin client as an all-in-one, right? By using essentially any screen that has a VESA mount, hook up the device as it is really tiny to the back of the screen, power it from the screen. You don't need an extra power supply in this case. Hook it up, obviously, via HDMI, keyboard, mouse, and you're up and running and can achieve end-user prices, depending on the screen size and cost, of just about €500. So very, very cost-effective for simple workplaces. So in summary, we are a leading vendor on the thin client side, so we are no newcomer. We know what we are doing. We know how to manufacture, how to sell, how to get the right approvals, etc. We are differentiated from pretty much anyone else by having ARM-based architecture, not like everyone else, x86 primarily. We do offer all major VDI technologies, but the focus is clearly on Citrix. That's way more than half of our business. And together with Igel, we now offer enterprise class solutions to the market very clearly. Now, in order to give you a little easy way of entering this market with us and perhaps running your own tests or a little POC, it's unusual for us because we normally only work entirely through the channel. But if you want to buy a single device, for example, you can actually go onto a little shop which we have created here. It's a presentation you can download, by the way, if you want to get this link, and enter a code called Igel for us. With that code, you get a special price of, I think, 120 euro, whatever that is in Swedish krona, for the device in order to order, as I said, a single piece or so. Normally, we do not sell directly. We only sell through our channels. So that's really all I had to say. I think I'm pretty much on time as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. The chat is still open here as well. In the presentation, you also have our contact information, my own, as well as Carlos as a technical support guy here. So anytime, we're here to help. And I thank you for listening and have a good afternoon.